Hey, there we are.
Dang, really?
I don't know. Perfect timing. What's happening, y'all? Welcome out to Fish Talk Live's pregame show. Just slowly getting ourselves ready for the evening. Hopefully y'all are too.
Yep, that little ding just reminded me to shut my phone down.
Right?
Yeah, let us know you're out there. Say hello. Throw some emojis up there, whatever. Big thumbs up. Let us know you're out there watching.
That's it. Got a fun evening this evening.
Yep.
Nothing. Surrounded by fishing guides.
Yep. You gotta, while you're at it, you gotta share this episode with all your friends and family.
Or the people you don't like. One or two.
Yeah, just put it on your page. Put it on someone else's page.
Yeah, that's it. Make sure to share and like.
It's a nice thing about Facebook. You can either share them with the people you love or the people you don't give an F about.
That's it. That's it. That's the best part of it. Just let everybody know.
Yep.
I always love those Facebook posts where they say, if you can read, or if you're reading this, I went through and cleared out everyone I don't give an F about.
Yeah, it's like, oh, great.
And I'm like, I've never talked to you before, so why am I still on here?
That's because they want to follow you.
That's the great thing about social media.
Yep, absolutely. Anybody do any fishing this week? We have a lack of water out there.
Yeah, it's been pretty low. Scary,
to say the
though.
least.
Yeah, heck, I was out there 2 days ago, and the tide was about 4 hours late.
Yeah, I think today it just never showed up.
That's how it's been.
It's because it took the tide after pill.
Yeah,
Right.
That's
That's a terrible
that
joke.
airline food. Yeah, we've had northeast winds for past couple of days, and it looks like it's going to continue on for the next.
I think it may even get
weekend.
stronger.
Yeah, probably.
It
Sounds
is.
like
It's
today,
supposed to
we
pick
did a
up.
little bit of airboat running today, and it was mind-boggling.
Oh,
running through
yeah.
some of the passes, it's like I don't ever recall seeing rocks there. Have to be in an airboat.
Yeah, that's a good thing, right?
Yes. That would have been dry docked in the first 2 minutes.
But let us know you're out there. Again, say hello. Just drop us a line.
That's it. Hopefully y'all got your fish picks in. Hopefully y'all went fishing.
I actually submitted pictures this week.
I noticed that. I'm excited to see the pictures themselves though.
Yeah, usually Bree picks them out every now and again from my social media stuff, but I actually sent 3 of them in today.
Nice.
I hope she picked one.
Yeah, it looked like quite a few people made it out fishing, and I'm excited to see that catch of the week.
Yeah, fishing's been really good. The weather's been crappy, but the fishing's been really good.
Yeah. I've been seeing a lot of nice lineup of fish on the fish cleaning station. It's always enjoyable.
We've been doing pretty good. Finding more and more pompano this year than I have in the past.
That and the size of the pompano y'all have been bringing
We've been
in.
getting some
They
good
are
ones.
beautiful.
Wow, yeah, we've been getting some pretty big ones. We had the end of last week, we had some that were pushing 20 inches, which is unheard of.
Yeah, that's insane.
On a regular, on a everyday, we're catching them in the 18 to 20 inch range.
Yeah, talk about some delicious eating.
Oh yes, very good.
All right, so we'll be right back to start this show.
Beyond the woods, down the twists and the turns, through the marsh lies the knowledge needed to fish the nature coast.
This is Fish Talk Live.
Welcome to
Fish Talk Live.
presented by
Phillips Auto Group.
the one and only. They keep your beers cold,
And my truck's running.
trucks running and warm. All right, everyone, we are right here at Ozella Keys Marina. We're going to be talking about how to find the right hole.
That's it. Yeah. Right now,
That's the name of the show, how to find the right hole. What do we mean by that? Not what Mario's thinking,
what
but
she said.
I mean, you guys have seen it. You've been on Google Maps and Florida Marine Tracks. There's all kinds of depressions, potholes, mud holes, rock holes, grass holes. assholes, everything.
Just look in the right spot.
Usually on the back of a pulling skiff is the assholes. No, I'm just kidding. But, so what we're going to talk about tonight is how to define those spots and how to really, highlight them.
That's it. How to target them.
How to target them. Because otherwise you're going to spend your entire life hole jumping, and some will be successful, some won't. So we're going to help you tonight narrow those down. Now, we went out hole jumping today.
We did.
One of the spots we stopped at, one was a new spot. It did okay. The other one was one that we've hit in previous years before, our favorite spot.
Produced quite well.
So we're going to use that as kind of a highlight as what we're looking for when we are hole jumping. But before we do that, Captain Carlos is over there on Tackle Table Talk. He's going to give us a rundown on which one of you have actually said hello, hi, how are you? So Carlos, go with it. Tell us who's on right now.
We got a pile of people on. We'll say back hello to Jessica.
Hi, Jessica.
Our good friend Justin Diamond joined us today. So hello, Justin.
He's going to be on the show next week.
Well, we'll see if you'll make it out.
He said he would call me back to let me know, and I'm taking because he didn't call me back that it's a definite yes.
Yep.
All right, we better see him out here. We got a Jason Lewis, Joe Forsyth, Dave Newman from West Palm Beach, from across the state. We got Doug. Let's see, we got a pile of people. Stephen Smith. Billy's mom, Doreen.
Hi, Mom.
There she is. Even Teddy says hi. Y'all check out Teddy. Chris Brown, Stephen Smith out there. He said it was low today.
Yes.
I think it was pretty low today. Chris Dunning said hello. He came out and visited. I believe he was out here also kayak fishing, last week?
Yeah.
Yes, he was.
Ty Parker, Stephen Mazzell. A bunch of people.
All right.
Y'all.
Look at there. Thank you all for joining us. Carlos, thank you very much for that rundown.
Sir.
Now, before we get started, let's go ahead and go off of this video just so you all know exactly what we're referring to. We can kind of use it as a base.
Yeah.
So, Bree, if you want to go ahead and please play this video. This is just from a little bit earlier, so please excuse the editing. It was a real quick, hey, let's think of something to talk about tonight.
Yes.
We threw this together. So
I always enjoy this part.
check it out. Hey, Billy. No water, negative tides. You want to go do some airboat fishing?
Great. Let's go do some real fishing.
Let's do it. If we follow the rock on the right. there's a little glimpse of hole jumping out here in Ozella, which you can do from Homosassa, Crystal River.
Oh, there's a lot of places
especially
to explore.
Yankee Town.
Oh, yes.
But, all right, before we hop over to the couch with Mario and our guest tonight, Teddy, let's go ahead and see what you all have been catching on the Extreme Decals.
My favorite part.
Catch of the week.
Hey. Look at that.
I don't even know what those things are. What
Those look like kingfish.
Wahoo?
Wahoo, kingfish? I can't see it. The screen's too far away.
I'm too blind.
That's a wahoo. Yeah.
Very
Chris,
nice.
my goodness, look at that.
Chris
wahoo.
Gayhart.
I think I saw that earlier today on Facebook. I saw that photograph. So it's Darren.
Very nice trout.
Nice trout. Yeah, we've been getting some pretty decent trout. Let me slide off the picture. Look at that. Good night. Black drum.
Darren with another drum.
Wow, that's a good drum. I like it when they just have their stripes. Those are good eating size fish. Right?
Oh, yeah.
We got some sheep's head. We got a peacock bass.
Beautiful little
What the
peacock.
heck? Did they get that one in Ozella? That looks like Doug. Yeah, that looks like Doug with a nice
I think he was with Andrew that day, right?
Was he? He probably was. There's a big pile of mangrove sheep's head from Eric Pearl. Yeah, he said he found a hole that had a bunch of them in it. We got some offshore stuff. Look at that.
I don't even know. Are those mangrove? Wait,
like
hold
a
on, Bray. Go back.
That looked like mangrove.
Go back one, Bree. It looks like big mangrove snappers. Yeah.
Beautiful.
I think it is. Yeah.
Beautiful catch.
Some thick ones. Bonitas. Is that a bonita or is that a?
A lot of exotic species tonight. I'm lost already.
Yeah.
Y'all ain't fishing Ozella. I love it.
You ain't getting that one in 2 feet of water.
No. Oh, there you
There you
go.
go.
Yeah,
That's a nice redfish.
Fine deal.
Guess who?
He's ugly.
I tell you what, I had a blast with John. And I said, hey, by any chance, can you have me back by like noon? I know it's like the number one thing you don't ask.
Yeah.
He said, all right, let's go. Come on.
But you had to work, so
That's it.
Yeah, that's understandable. There's a pile.
Jake with a whole bunch of mackerel.
Holy mackerel.
Jamie with a nice big old trout. There you go. Doubling up. Jessica and James.
Ooh, look at that trout.
That's a stud
Oh
trout.
my goodness.
48 more photos to go.
There's Joe with a nice fat redfish.
Yeah, it is.
There you go. How about that permit?
Right.
Pompano.
The Pompano.
Pompino. Yeah. There's a lot of these.
It's nice to see him.
Yeah, a lot of them coming up. Lots of them.
Speaking of
That's old
John
John.
and the Pump. Be a cool band name, John and the Pump.
John in the font. Yeah.
Josh White,
Josh
my
White.
man.
More nice ribs.
They caught them right off their
Right
dock.
off of his dock, yeah.
Was that one cut off the dock too?
Looks like
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow. That's cool.
I need to be Kyle's friend.
There's Matt.
So
Matt and
is
no
Matt
yak.
watching right now? Because was this caught off of a kayak? I do want to know that.
That'd be pretty killer. That
Wow.
He got wiped out. Looks like you're having a good time in Panama, Matt.
He lost his GoPro in that photo.
Rick. Yeah, and Rick with a nice red.
Nice calm day. Very nice. That looks like it was today as low.
Yeah. Hey, there's one of my guys. Yeah. Right there, we got that one a couple of days ago. That's a pretty big pompano. There's another one of mine. Haley. Yeah,
Oh, that's playing out there in the reef.
Yeah, there's another one of mine.
Ooh,
Look
how
at
big was that trout?
That was a 23 and a half.
That's sweet.
Hey, did
There's
anyone,
another one of mine.
did
Right
anyone
before-
look up the spot thing on the trout?
No.
Remember what we were talking about last week, that the trout up north only have spots that go halfway up,
Yeah.
but the trout here have spots that go all the way. Is it the clarity of the water?
It's partially the clarity of the water, and it's actually genetics. They have a lot of the
GMOs.
sand trout mixed. Is it sand or silver trout?
Sand trout,
Sand trout, yeah.
That are hybrids that are mixed in with it,
Interesting.
and their skin's a little bit more purple when you catch them up towards Yankeetown, Cedar Key, and
Very cool.
stuff like that in the darker water.
Really?
Yeah.
Where'd that dorsal
I
fin
actually
go?
submitted a couple of specimen to FWC about 4 years ago, And they said, yes, there is a genetic difference, and they are hybrid.
Wild.
Yeah.
Did Lindsay get upset?
Do I?
Specimen.
Yeah, specimen. Yeah, not Siemens.
All right, Billy had a good question. Is the dorsal missing on this, or is it just
no,
the photo?
it was just it was down a little bit. That one was a perfect 27, which is every now and again we get those ones that are perfect 27s. But
Gotta love it.
yeah, he didn't shake them or didn't put the finger in the butthole to make his fin pop up. There's a bluefish. Look at that. I haven't seen too many of those this year.
Very nice.
If anyone can find bluefish, it's George Quinn.
Yeah.
That one looks a bit overslot. Good
Nice red
fish.
fruit.
Whoa. Big old cuda.
Yeah, what the heck? It's a Bahamian spotted wahoo.
Where are they at right now?
That's my favorite that photo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Skinny water lures.
Way to present that for a photo. That's slick.
Heck yeah.
I'm going to use my skinny water lures just because of that photo.
Right? Big old sheep.
Yeah.
All right, what's going on with this photo, Stacy?
Yeah, she's fishing in the clouds.
Yeah. Bad reflection. Yeah.
Yeah, bad reflection.
It looks like Teddy's crew.
Teddith.
Nice. Oh yeah.
When was this from, Teddy?
Very nice.
Nice pumping. We're getting
Such a pretty little fish.
Those are so much fun to catch.
Mm-hmm.
There's that shit-eating grin.
That's a good look.
Where were you at right there, Teddy?
Yeah.
Good sheets.
What did you say?
Where were you at in this photo?
A local spot.
Just look for the house.
There's only so many docks.
Good find. Holy.
That's my dad. Some slabs.
Very nice.
The hell are those things?
Crappie. Specs. Crappie.
Pickle bait.
Titty brain.
That was today.
Very nice.
That guy just refused to look at you, didn't he?
They didn't want their pictures taken, so I only took that one of him. And then just the table of the fish.
Very nice.
It was a great day, though.
There's the man's
Carlito.
You're not the best photographer in the world.
I've been told by a couple, mostly one person, that was not good.
Carlos, look at that.
I tell you what, Carlos, you missed your calling at being a model.
Yeah.
Agreed. Agreed. That
redfish was just cool because he had just very, just the spots on him were just very, just big and just bright. They're very pronounced, exactly.
It's good stuff.
Yeah.
We gotta get you a nickname, Carlos.
What's going on here?
They're posing.
Yeah, the Scots down in Panama. Not city,
Scots
the canal.
The canal, yeah.
2 Scots, 1 house.
That's terrible.
That's the party.
Finding the right hole.
Very nice. Happy place.
Few photos with there we go. Travis
That's
Roberts.
a big old football red. Very
He gets it
nice.
done.
He does too.
Yeah, he's
Playing out there in North Ozella. He does very,
Now,
very
this
well.
photo was not within the last week, I hope,
No,
Travis.
Let's hope not. One species is not supposed to be there.
that was a couple weeks ago.
Good looking
Nice
red.
red.
I'm tired. A lot of photos.
Wore out.
My arms hurt.
Wow. All right, let's go to a commercial break. When we
Love
come
it.
back, Captain Mario is going to be talking with Captain Teddy on the I&A Matthews State Farm casting couch about how to find the right hole
That's it.
on the casting couch. My name is Captain Gary Bartell Jr. I own Ozello Keys Marina and River Adventure Tours right here in Ozello, Florida. Having a reliable truck in my line of business is very important, but what's even more important is a relationship with who we got the vehicle from. And Phillips Ocala is a prime example of a partner in our business. They sponsor our show, which has brought it to the next level. Fish Talk Live was real small before they got involved, and they really helped us gather the tools that we needed to get it to the next level. They also support a lot of the community affairs in our area, whether it be fundraisers or just lending a hand after a hurricane. Phillips Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is always there for us. We're real excited to be, not only partners with them, but friends with them.
Dropped on it.
Welcome back to the Allende Matthews State Farm Casting Couch. I am Captain Mario Castello, and we have here Captain Teddy Shoop.
Glad to be here.
Good to have you. We're going to be talking about finding the right hole with Teddy. Imagine that. All right, Teddy. Now, I'm not that familiar with mud boat fishing. I do a little bit of it, but the thing is, with me, I go with a captain that a lot of you guys know. His name's Captain Bill Nast. Mm-hmm. He does a lot of mud boat fishing. I don't have to go around to look for these places. I don't have to figure out how to find these fish. So we're going to be talking to you a little bit about what you do, how you do it. Kind of a procedure on what you're looking for and how you find these holes in the backcountry of Ozello.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I don't know, I told you guys already. A lot of you already know. If you don't know, I started on a kayak and a paddleboard in this area, and then a ginu. The ginu is when I really started running these Ozello areas. Mm-hmm. And when I would do that, I would go to Google Earth and look for any type of basically depression or what I thought was a depression or a hole. And I would go out there and check it on a higher tide so I don't get stuck or damage your boat or whatever you're using. But typically on Google Earth, you can see the holes. A lot of them are going to be discolored, more of a blue or a greenish color. That's usually a little bit deeper. If it's mud bottom, I mean, it's just going to be mud bottom. You might be able to see it. It might be darker, it might be lighter. But typically I look for the blue/green depressions, and that's usually going to be a little bit deeper water.
And you're not talking about on the outside edge of the main mangroves. You're talking about way deep back inside.
Yeah, I'm talking about like finger creeks and different channels running off the main river and creeks.
No man's land. Pretty
yeah,
much.
Exactly. Yeah. Yep. And you can find a lot of them. The trick is being able to get to them. Like I said, you have to go in there and check on a higher tide to see if you even can get back to it, first of all. And then if you can, start fishing at different tides and watching what happens, look for bait, see if you can see water coming in and out of that area. I mean, that's a huge advantage to me, in my opinion, if there's a water coming in and out of that hole necessarily, like call it a hole.
Now, you do a lot of the fishing, I know you do a lot of client fishing in there. Some of these places you can't bring clients to. We'll kind of try to separate this. We'll separate this into fun fishing and then client fishing, because most of these people are wanting to fun fish.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll talk a little bit about the client fishing now. Now, you're going to these holes that are accessible. Maybe by mud boat. You do run a mud boat.
Yep.
You're taking these places where there's a good possibility that you won't get stuck because you do have paying clients on the boat.
Yes.
The fishing's maybe not as great as it could be. It's still good. It's still very good, but it's not the typical mud boat fishing that you see. Correct?
So with that being said, a lot of those holes are mainly redfish.
Gotcha.
So when you say like fun fishing, it honestly depends on the client. If they want a redfish, then I'll take them to most of the holes and we'll fish redfish. Gotcha. As far as what you said, the fun fishing, to me, the fun fishing would be going after the trout, the black drum, the sheep's head, everything else.
That has available. Got it.
To me, fun fishing could be that or targeting one species. It's whatever the client wants to do. That's my main goal, is to make sure the client has a good time. So if they want to do something specific, we'll do it. A lot of people ask me, like, what is hole fishing? Or what are we going to be doing as we're hole fishing in the mud boat? And I'll tell them and I'll explain to them there's certain spots where me and my buddies go for fun fishing, and we get out of the boat or we have to push the boat or some crazy stuff.
It's work.
It's not just something we just do with clients. So, and I'll tell people that, and sometimes they're like, "Oh yeah, no, we don't want to do that." No, it's okay. Because I don't blame them. They don't want to go out in the water. It's cold. Most people don't have waders, or it's dangerous too. Because if you fall, if you slip on the rock or oyster, I mean, you can get hurt.
Yeah, on top of you being stuck back there.
Yeah.
Most of the time you can't get back out for another couple hours. So.
Yep.
Yeah. So,
but yeah, mainly I go to holes that I can fish and get out of in the mud boat.
Right.
That's like number one thing is to be able to get out.
Right.
You don't want to be stuck.
Yeah, and typically those are still good places to fish, but you're going to find mostly redfish.
Mostly redfish.
Yeah.
I have caught black drum and some trout in those same holes, even sheep's head if there's rock in it. If you have a hole with rock or any type of hard bottom structure, you can catch drum and sheep's head more often than just redfish.
And a lot of these holes, at these negative low tides that we're having, a lot of these holes will have rocks at the entrance to it. It may be a 100-foot long creek that has nothing but rocks in it that you have to walk over. You have to park your boat on the other side, walk through it, and fish the deeper side on the other side because they're pretty much trapped.
Yeah, they literally get trapped in those holes when that water leaves, and then once it comes in, sometimes they're still in there, and sometimes they just kind of start swimming around again.
Yeah.
Every day is different too. Each hole might not necessarily have the same fish or the same size fish. A lot of those holes we're catching some small reds, a lot of rat reds is what I call them.
Yeah, this time of year we're going to see a whole lot.
Yep.
I think Bree said there were some questions coming up.
Sure.
Dave Newman wants to know what size redfish are usually found inside those pockets and deep holes.
We were just talking about it.
Literally they range anywhere from like the little guys and then all the way up to overslots. Lately, from what I've noticed and caught, have been probably the rat reds and then up to about mid-slot redfish. I have not caught anything giant out of any of the holes yet. Now, come next month, in February, it's going to be a lot bigger redfish in those holes, typically is what I've seen.
I think the bigger redfish you'll find more along the side of the troughs.
Yes, they're hanging on the edges right now off that rocky and oyster structure right now.
They need a little more room to maneuver around.
Yep, but they will go back in those holes, and you will catch overslot fish in those holes, and it is fun. It is fun. Yep.
Yeah, if you can get back there, of course you need the right kind of rig to get back there. I mean, you're running a
1754 gator tail.
Yeah.
Yep.
With a surface
drive motor.
Surface drive motor. So it's like having 4-wheel drive for a boat. If you guys don't know,
it is
what they are. So.
And I think the biggest thing about them is Teddy, when they're up on plane, you're running at the surface.
Yeah.
So you're not doing a lot of damage. There's a big misperception of mud boats.
Absolutely.
Can you break that down for us?
So, don't get me wrong. You can tear up the bottom with any boat, mud boats included.
Except an
if you run it that certain way. So what we do, obviously it's shallow. We're running across grass flats, mud flats, mixed in. We trim up, so we're not digging into the ground and destroying our seagrass. I see it, not knocking anybody, but I've seen a lot of other mud boats out here who have just driven right through the grass flat, and you can see grass spitting up. It's because they're trimmed down too high. The surface drives, you can trim them up and still run on plane just fine. And you're not hitting anything. It's so far out of the water, it's just catching. It's kind of like your prop.
Yeah,
your boat.
It doesn't
one blade at a time.
Yeah, that's all it's doing.
When the water comes off the transom of the boat, on the back of the boat, it actually shoots up and into the bottom of your surface drive prop.
Yeah,
and,
it's not hitting the bottom unless you're trimmed down, purposely hitting the bottom.
Right.
But
you don't want to do that anyway.
No.
Here's the biggest advantage to them is once you set down, they're very light. Yeah. So you can pull them. You can get out and walk them. That's where I see the big advantage to a mud boat is you can get to where you need to go safely for yourself, your boat, and the seagrass bottoms or, sand, whatever it may be. But you got to cut it off, trim it up. It's an aluminum boat. It may, hit there and there, but it's not truly damaged. Like I said, there's a big misperception of mud boats. It's all just like with airboats. It's the driver. And that's where I'm really fond of both Carlos and Captain Teddy is that you can see they're very conscious of the people that are surrounding them and the seagrass bottoms and everything. So.
Another thing too is I'll mention when we drive our mud boats around, you can go different routes, right? Mm-hmm. So personally, I know Carlos does this as well. We won't run necessarily over a grass flat if we don't have to, just to save a minute or two to get to the next spot. For me, definitely, I will run wider or farther around just to get to a spot. Because there's spots over there in our area where you can run and tear it up just to save you another couple minutes in getting to the next spot. But I usually go around just to kind of stay away from basically tearing up our bottom.
That's the nice thing about a mud boat. You're running the same channels I am. There is no channel.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about the markers or anything of that nature. You just run it.
I'll say something real quick. The one thing is, and me and Teddy had this conversation last week actually, and this goes back to hole fishing or hole hopping. Those fish are in depressions. It may be 6 inches deeper than the surrounding area, maybe 2 foot, or maybe 6 foot deeper. So you come off plane before the hole, you fish the hole. Now when you can't get back up on, there's limitations on how deep we could get up on plane. So what do we use to get back up on plane? That deeper water. So that hole that we were fishing is our escape back out. So you could tilt that motor, push the motor down, which will raise that prop. You'll kind of just putz around, get into the hole, take off, and then you're on plane again. For me, I do have a pulling platform on my boat. I've got a 21-foot carbon marine push pull, and I'll be the only one out there really just push pulling and working areas real slow. So, if I have to get out of an area, I do, I either plan on push pulling if I bring it, or just I won't, mess up the grounds just to get back up. Yeah. Well, that's the other thing. It's expensive for these to replace these props. Not cheap. So I'm not going to tear up my equipment when I know if I just take a couple more minutes, I'll get out of there, within a safe route or just being less destructive to the environment. But anyways.
And Darren has an awesome question. Why January and February for the bigger reds moving into the holes? And I've got an answer, I feel. And I think this is all theory driven. So, but if you guys want to...
Go ahead.
Okay,
you tell
so
us
my
first.
theory is it's because those holes are the fish last resort, right? So January, February are 2 coldest months of the year.
Yeah.
Right now, the bigger fish that have more meat, they have more insulation. If we can...
Yeah, thanks.
Bree, can we give an example of insulation? Insulation. They have more insulation that they can survive in those troughs. Right now it's a little bit cooler than the potholes. But January, February comes, they have no other choice but to get into those potholes or up into the springs or rivers.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's my theory, but...
Mine would be similar to that too, yeah.
Yeah.
January and February, we have the lowest tides of the year. And these fish they're like dogs. They're going to do the same things over and over again. And a lot of these are actually born from back in the backcountry where these deep holes are. And that's the only place that they can breathe. They have water they're surrounded by land in little pools of water. It's the only place they can go. Plus, it is a little warmer. The rock bottom, like Teddy was talking about, you're looking for all the rocky surroundings. Those rocks absorb the sunlight, and it will be a few degrees warmer back in those deeper holes. And again, like I said, plus, that's the only places they can go to breathe on a negative low tide. So.
Oh yeah, when that slight bit of tide comes in and that rock goes under, that water's a lot warmer than what's at the bottom of that hole.
And just
that's
the
where
mud.
you're going to find a lot of those fish.
And
the
mud in general.
Also, the mud, the dark bottom also from the mud. It does the same thing. It's like a thermal insulator.
Yep. It stays more consistent with the temperature of the water.
Yeah.
Even if our air is fluctuating.
Now, Vicky's theory is because Vicky is now here, and that's because she needs to go catch a big red. That's her theory, and I agree with that one,
I like your ideas.
Yeah, that's great. Keep telling her.
All right, you guys got anything else over there on the couch?
No, I think that's it.
Yep.
Yeah, I think we got it. Teddy covered it quite well. Like I said, I need to get out there with you one of these days.
I know, I've been trying to get you.
Got to do some fun fishing. It's been a pretty hectic couple of months for me. So once I get some free time, we're definitely going to go out there and beat them up, and we'll walk those holes back there in the deep backcountry. Hopefully this winter.
Yeah, I hope so. It'd be awesome. Yep. It's a good time.
So Stacy does have a great question, but I think we should save this one for your segment, Carlos.
All right.
So we'll wait to ask that question on the tackle table talk, because that's going to be more tackle and technique. So.
Okay. We going to commercial break, or are we going straight over to the table?
Let's hit up a commercial.
We'll take up a commercial break. We'll see you here in a few minutes.
To about 50 feet. Yeah, I got him. He's on it. Got him. Nice. That's a stud right there. Awesome catch, dude. That was so
What's the best reel for my price point?
Pocket there.
Take it away, Carlos.
Welcome to the tackle table talk. Tongue twister. Financial advisors. So Teddy talked about just how to find the holes. Now this is going to be my version of how we fish them. So the most simplistic way, and if you've been on here and seen me before, we've talked about this. It's going to be on a jig head. So live bait on a jig head, whether you use mud minnows. Shrimp is going to be the most popular, and that's just going to be a jig head. And the only thing that's going to change with your jig head is going to be current or wind. So if you have a little bit of tide movement, go lighter. So Mario said this a lot of times. If you guys are regular viewers, he's gone down in braid, he's gone down in leader. I think that's been the trend for a lot of us for a long time. And I'm down, and I've been down to 10 pounds. And I'll even go a little bit crazy. I know a lot of my buddies don't go this low. I'll even run 12-pound fluorocarbon on for my leader. On those really light, calm days, I'll like throwing those 16th-ounce jig heads, and then I work them up to 1/8 and up to a 1/4 ounce when there's deeper water, a lot faster current, and that just helps keep that position of that bait where you want it. So jig heads are always going to be your number one. Now, if I was going to be throwing some search baits, so let's say just a paddle tail, or maybe we'll stick with paddle tails. I personally like maybe some Z-Man products, and what I like doing, even in the wintertime, we still get grass on the surface. The thing that I hate is you're reeling just continuous little reel with your paddle tail. You get that grass, that just little bit of trash on your line, and just kills the vibration and the look of your bait. So I like going weedless, and it helps a lot tremendously with the presentation of those baits. So I'll go with like a chin lock weedless hook. I know Z-Man came out with some different, better designs. The weight placement is going to be a little bit different on that hook, but the main thing for me is weedless. So if I'm doing a lot of shallow water, I'm just trying to cover ground, I just go with a steady roll of that reel, and a paddle tail to me works great. On those calmer days where the water's not too choppy, I like throwing top water. Top water is super exciting. You get some of these, like a lot of these cold fronts that come through, we get crappy weather. It's going to be overcast. It's not going to be a lot of sunlight. And just that clack, 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 and just that top water just working that surface, it's going to excite those fish. And how to rig those? Pretty much almost everything, I go with some sort of loop knot. Everything that I tie is pretty much a loop knot unless I'm grouper fishing. Even grouper fishing, I'm a liar. Everything
I was going to say, I think I've seen you tie a loop knot.
Everything is loop knot. Now, I kind of just got lazy. It's just so quick to tie a loop knot. I really haven't had any failures with loop knots, whether it be on short fish, which shouldn't really happen, and then even on grouper, I've never lost a fish because my knot has failed. You could go with a fixed knot. Now, for top water, I like the loop knot because you get more of that just free-flowing, rhythmic movement of that bait. It's not tied down to a string like it is with the fixed knot. Some advantages of going with a fixed knot is disadvantage is when you make your cast, and those top waters will cast a mile, is when you go retrieve, it's not working right. You'll notice that you're fouled up. That line has gotten tangled up in one of the treble hooks, and it's just a pain. Now you got to reel in real fast and untangle it and recast again. Well, one method that you could try is go with a heavier leader. So if you go with a heavier, thicker leader and go with maybe a fixed knot at that point, that knot will not tangle into the hooks as much as a loop knot. So it's kind of like pros and cons. Which one would you prefer to have? I just always deal with, I get tangled up and hooked and just wrapped around the barbs every now and then, but I just deal with it. Now, we've talked a lot about this. I'm gonna grab my little friend here, Mr. Shrimp. Look at here. So if Bree will zoom in a little bit to Mr. Shrimp here, how we rig them. I like I was watching one day. Go ahead.
First, this is an OCAM standard size shrimp.
There we go.
There we go.
I'll have customers, if you fish with me, whether fun fishing or on a charter, I will have a shrimp in my mouth. I am constantly taking big old hunks of these tails off. Like, that's just what I do. My buddies make fun of me, but that's just what I do. So here, because the shrimp is so big, it's a really good example. I try only to take the very last segment, just the last tail, and that gives me all that meat to go with. Now, how I hook, so once I like getting rid of the tail. Once I get rid of the tail, I'll go from the belly. So I'll hold the shrimp just like this, and my hook will go through underneath. It has to go as close to underneath the shell. And once this tail does that little curl through that hook, you know that's time to work it out of that belly of that shrimp. So you'll see all his little feet, work it right out as close to the center of the shrimp as possible. If you get it off to the side, sometimes when you make a good hard cast, you might lose the shrimp, but that's my preferred way. I know Mario likes keeping the tail, but and I heard that for two reasons. If there's a lot of pinfish activity, one thing that getting rid of the tail is going to release more scent into the water. So by keeping it, if there's a lot of pinfish activity, you don't really need to just get your bait eaten up as fast. It'll last a little bit longer. Shrimp doesn't last long when there's a lot of pinfish anyways. But to me, I like releasing that shrimp scent. And to me, this tail causes an obstruction with the cast. So if it catches a lot of wind, you may lose 3 more feet, 5 more feet. I mean, I don't really know how much you're losing, but it just doesn't make as good of a cast to me. So I always get rid of the tail when I cast.
It's a funny thing about that is Gary and I went and did that pond jumping today.
Yeah.
Gary was biting the tail. I noticed he would take that bite and he'd spit it out. I did not.
Yeah.
I would continue to wrap it and I would shove the jig head basically into the tail. And where Gary was producing more fish than I was, I hate to admit that.
At first.
But the difference is what we found is how to work that shrimp inside that deeper trough that we were playing in is we're literally having to reel that shrimp in, maybe about 3 feet at a fast pace, let it set. And every time Gary was doing it, the shrimp was giving a really nice display. Well, mine, because I didn't bite that tail was literally catching and was making my shrimp spin.
Yeah.
And I noticed that halfway through, and I'm like, this is not working the same.
Let's have a science breakdown for a second.
Okay.
A science fishing breakdown. Now I'm really intrigued. All right. This all makes sense. At first, that is always the first thing I learned that because I always see you eating shrimp or what I thought was eating shrimp.
He doesn't spit it out.
So there's a quick keep it in my lip. And also the fun thing is you always do it nonchalant. And you always have the client says, what are you doing? Why are you biting the shrimp? Then you explain exactly how you just explained it. So that's the first thing I do, and that was what I did. And it was bam, bam, bam.
Yeah.
And it took that, and I think it took the scent to fire those fish up.
Yeah.
Billy still didn't do that, but now he started catching them left and right earlier. But it took, I think, the scent being dragged through the water to really fire those fish up.
Using the identical bait, he put 4 in the box before I put my 1.
Yeah. No.
And then after that, it was back to back to back to back.
It's just natural to me.
No, we didn't put any in the box. All right, we let them all go. We let them bleed, let them breed, or what is it? Let them breathe.
I don't know.
Let them breathe to breed.
Yeah. No fish were hurt during that segment.
The other thing I'll say is, and I've had, I'll get clients that they're like iffy at first, and then all of a sudden they'll go dig it in my little live well. They'll go in there, start chopping off tails too. Now they get a little bit crazy because sometimes they don't realize, like, they'll pick up a dead one and it's soft and they're still in there. That's where I cut. That's where I just I don't do that. But
Just don't say anything.
the other thing is, because clients, I'll say, hey, I'll rig every single one, or if you want, as long as, and I dislike it when they get lotion or they have heavily whatever on their hands, but I still let them typically, but I'll make a comment if they have any lotion or anything that they've been touching so they don't kill the rest of the shrimp in my little live well. But people, especially this time of year, I'll say something important that I had a customer, and he was super, super good at fishing. Like he was that client that you'll take every single day, and all you got to do is just take them and he'll just produce. You don't have to do anything. But in this time of year, or even when it's super hot, and with clients, when they go through your shrimp and they're trying to pick out the biggest one. We'll take this big guy right here. And I'll say why maybe grabbing the biggest shrimp or huge shrimp are always, to me, a negative. When you are cold, these fish are cold. There's a reason why they're in these holes. They're trying to stay warm. They're trying to lay around this hard structure. They're trying to stay warm in that hot, warmer mud, silty bottom. And imagine that they're, in a sense, almost went to a buffet. And at the buffet, they had ribs, they had steak, they had potato, they had mac and cheese. Man, their bellies are exploding, okay? Now, in the sense, they're not really that full, but because the water is cold, they're lethargic, like, oh man. So imagine almost in a sense that you throw this next piece of rotisserie chicken. You got a whole rotisserie chicken, and you bring that plate in front of that fish, and they just had all this food. Do they really want to eat this next big old plate of rotisserie chicken? Maybe not. So what I do is I hate, obviously, the little tiny shrimp. I hate the big shrimp, but if you get a good shrimp that's maybe the size of your index finger and present that. So if you slide that fish a French fry, a little piece of those little cheesecake cubes, put that in front of his face, like, oh, I can't eat that rotisserie chicken, but I might nibble on this little piece of French fry. So when it's cold, maybe going big baits is not the answer. And maybe for us, that might be a piece of cut mullet, or a big old like pinfish. So think about that on your next trip. And the last thing I'll say, because I know I've been blabbing for a while, is I'm always prepared with circle hooks. So if you're fishing heavy structure, if Bree will zoom in, I'm gonna do something crazy, and hopefully I don't look dumb doing this. We got a circle hook. I'm not even looking, and I am literally swiping this way over my arm. And guess what? I'm not getting hooked up because it's a circle hook. Well, imagine my hand being rock or hard structure. You end up getting hung up on hard structure a whole lot less when that circle hook, and when you're fishing a circle hook over hard structure. So a lot of hard structure, I always try to just swap over to circle hooks. If I have mangrove edges, pothole, soft bottom, any J hooks, jig head will work all day long. But
did anyone else stop breathing when Carlos was doing that?
I was very.
I was a little nervous.
Oh, God.
That was a great one.
I said I might look down. Thank God it didn't happen.
I'm like, oh boy, this is gonna be interesting.
Carlos, awesome. A lot of people in here is every time you come on, everyone's like, oh, thank God Carlos is here.
What is Scott Parrish?
No, it wasn't Scott this time. All right, so I've got three things.
All right.
We need to go back to Stacy's comment.
Got a question for you guys too.
All right, let's see, where did it go? Do you let where did it go? All right, do you want your bait to go straight to the bottom when fishing the mud holes?
Yeah. If I'm just using shrimp down to the bottom, that's where the fish are going to be. They're not really trout. We've all heard, the smaller trout, you have to like weed through maybe layers of trout where the bigger trout are always going to be at the bottom. But with jig heads, I think mostly they're going to be on the bottom. Your redfish are going to be on the bottom. Your trout are going to be barely suspended off the bottom. They might layer up into different size ranges. Generally, the bigger trout are always at the bottom, but you don't ever see trout at the top. You don't ever see black drum at the top. You don't ever see sheep's head at the top. So where are those fish? They're at the bottom. So you just want your bait to go on the bottom. Whether you're doing circle hook or any size jig head, they're going to be at the bottom.
Yep, I agree. And as a prime example today, cast it out, let it hit the bottom, especially in the mud. Now, Captain Jeff Page taught me something about my own area, fishing with him and Billy Almstrom. A heavy jig head when you're using artificial, in those, only casting those mud holes, not the grass, and beat it through the mud hole.
Oh.
I mean, because if you think about it, if you're a fish over here and you're in a mud hole, it's already kind of not very clear.
Yeah.
So you see something doing this, dusting it up. Those fish are reaction hitters. And today we were casting it out, letting it sit, and then we'd reel it in as fast as we could and then just let it drop.
Yeah.
So I mean.
So that could have mimicked a feeding fish, and if anybody's been around, anybody that's gotten, they're fishing a bank, all of a sudden our best friend, the Mr. Dolphin, comes by and they start hunting that bank. A lot of people, sometimes I move, sometimes I don't, but if they really get excited and go to tail flapping and hitting, smacking the water, and they're flipping mullet or something in the air, redfish specifically, or drum, because they are pretty much almost like bottom feeders, they're going to maybe come back and be like, hey, is there any shrimp? Is there any little baby crab that I could then gather up? So that would mimic also you letting that bait hit the bottom in that mud and then creating that vibration, that sound, that scent possibly, and attracting like, hey, maybe something was feeding here. Maybe there's something that I could just, snack on as well.
Yeah. Now, George Quinn, this is a two-part question.
Right.
Or one's a statement. Well, actually, it's 3 parts. He says that top waters do not work in Ozello.
Well, I caught like flatfish on top water.
But then he followed it up with that he doesn't use leader with his top water. So I'm a firm believer, and you drop down to 12 or 15 pound for top water.
Yeah.
Firm believer. And to me, fluorocarbon is less visible.
Yeah.
And he says that he doesn't use it because of the action.
Okay.
So in this area, our fish are a lot more skittish. Our fish are a lot more sensitive.
Very pressured.
Yeah, and very pressured, exactly. So I think you have to use a leader.
Yeah.
Small. Now, the other thing, too, George, think about this. I've always said that top waters will only work in the mornings, consistently work in the mornings or in the evenings. Mm-hmm. You go anywhere else in Florida, you can use top water all day. But our areas are consistently shallow, and you don't always have these potholes or troughs.
Yeah.
I think they work great on the sides of the troughs, where the fish are coming up to get it.
Yeah.
Not in the consistent shallow parts.
The one thing I'll expand is, George, my first 5 fish the day of the tournament were on top water, 2 trout and 3 reds. The other thing is, I like those transitions. You have the flat, you have the hole. What about this middle ground? Fishing is hunting. I like hunting those structure edges. I mean, that uphill or downhill slope, I hunt those. I look for them. Is that red going to be on that bank? And they either are or they aren't. They have tails, they move, they can do whatever they want. You just got to catch them. But don't overlook those slopes, is what I'll say.
Yeah.
The other thing I forgot to mention is, if you look at any jig head, they all have that circle loop. There is a brand of hooks, and I won't say what it is. Their eye is not solid. So when I started dropping down, I even though I've never lost a fish on a loop knot, because my knot failed or the loop knot failed, I have lost fish where they're fighting, they're bent over, they're peeling drag. All of a sudden, goes limp. Where'd that fish go? They reel in. I'm like, man, I can't believe my knot failed. What did I do wrong? I look, I still have my loop knot. What happens is, because I've stepped down to 12-pound leader and I swapped over to a hook that was not a complete loop, like the actual eye, that leader just went right through that little bitty pass. And I will say that. So be careful with some of your hooks that you do use. If they're not solid eyes, you're depending on the type of knot that you use, you may lose a fish if that leader goes through that little bitty edge of that eye. Anyways.
I agree. All right. last thing from George Quinn as well. Does anybody ever use like Procure scented stuff on top waters? I do on. I'm trying to think of the name brand. I have one on one of my rods downstairs. It has the little feathers or whatever it is on the back hook.
Bucktail?
Yeah, it's kind of like a bucktail on the back treble hook of the top water. Okay. It's a Zero Spook.
Oh, okay.
They make it. I'll any chance I get that has something with fabric or something that will hold that, absolutely I will.
I have not used scents on it, but in my head, literally today I was thinking, on any artificial that if I ever fish just by myself, I would probably try to throw some sort of scent on it, as long as it doesn't disturb the action, because I like how Mario gave everybody the tip of that empty bag of jerk baits and throw some Procure in there, whatever scented bait you have. Put your bait in there, mush it around. That thick, sticky layer of scent, what does it affect something? A jerk bait, popping it up and down, just jigging, I don't think it makes a big difference. Maybe top water very slightly, but I think it's worth a try. I think it's going to give you some advantage versus, I think there's more to be had than it takes away, so I think it's worth a try. There's nothing, I think it would help.
Yeah, I think it'd be more of a pro than a con.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, perfect. Last thing on the Nature Coast Financial Advisors Tackle Table Talk is this tactical box. All
right, so we got this back in October, and it took us a while I own one. I've kayak fished with this. We had the guys from Bubba, and cool things is the 4 rod holders, and these are interchangeable. The way that I set these up, there's just two screws or bolts actually, that from the inside, actually no, I'm a liar, through the holes on the sides. There's 2 here, 2 here. What came on these was 2 like soda can or beer cooler or holders, but Gary obviously used it for 4 rod holders. So this is a super advantage. I thought, because anytime you open up a lid on a cooler or any sort of like a tackle box, you always open from the bottom. And I thought it was weird that these open up from the top. And we talked. At least I brought it up with the guys who developed this. I was like, that's a little bit different. There's nothing wrong with different. It's just not normal for what our other stuff is. But the reason behind it was you could just turn around and flip that top. And when you flip these, I'll demonstrate again, you just pop it. This one already popped. These latches open up, so they automatically open. So you don't have to sit there and try to like unhinge it or anything. That was my concern, was I gotta go back and unhinge it. But he said, if you just give these a pop, they open right up.
It's a pretty cool concept.
I think that's super cool. So what I thought was weird and different, there was a reason behind their madness, and that's actually a pretty creative idea, I think. I definitely love the 4 rod holders, like I said. Plenty of storage space. I like having it on my skiff and in the mud boat, and it definitely has become like one of the things that I carry now, and specifically for the rod holders. Now I don't have them, all the way on top of my tower. Now I just have them right there in front, on the floor off to the side, and there's just more rod holding space for me. But definitely holds a lot of accessories, anything you want. I'm glad this is not smell-o-vision, because Gary's been using this, and
it shows how watertight they are. It keeps the smell fresh.
Yeah. But pretty cool box here. Definitely, I did think there was a lot going on with this box. It's very handy, specifically for kayak fishing, but also it became essential even in the skiff and the mud boat. So.
It's nice to be able to put all your necessities and then move it to the next boat.
Yeah.
Or like what Billy, he was just dragging it behind him. It floats.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it floats nicely.
Yeah. So I mean that was really cool, and we finally got to put this, in my opinion, to like the real use of what it's designed for. These have been back ordered for a long time.
Really?
Yep. We should be getting a dozen of them in by the 20th. So if anybody does want to have us hold one for them, great gift item.
They do come with a cutting board, an organizer on the inside. It comes with quite a bit of stuff.
Yeah, and
straight out of the box.
I mean, even though it seems flexible, Billy and I can stand on here.
Yeah.
No problem. I've had I put it right up to my bow where you have that big step up.
Yep.
Customers get down. I mean, super non-skid.
And it does have non-skid pads on the bottom as well, so helps, grab texture when people do step on them. They're not slipping on this. So it's non-skid on top and non-skid on the bottom. So yeah, awesome. Definitely a cool box. I really did like it, and I'm glad I have one.
Kaylee Rogers.
Yep, Kaylee Rogers wants to know what brand those are.
So these are Mad Ox tackle. I've used the variations of these. What would y'all use these for? These are pretty big hooks. The ones I've used before have smaller
hogfish. Aren't those like hog balls?
Yeah, so there's the hog balls are one. You could use them on sheep's head. So
the thing I liked about them is using them for the mud minnow side of life too.
Oh, that's right.
Because when that ball will end up burying into the mud, and that fish is just free flopping.
Gotcha.
It's not pinned to the bottom whatsoever, which is pretty sweet. Yeah. So it gives a nice flowing motion for your bait that's on the hook itself, versus the jig heads that are just fixed.
Yeah. This would probably be something that I would try maybe with a grouper, just maybe see if it works. I've used cut bait before, and, normally I have like a fish finder rig or something like that. But this might keep, if I went live bait, I might keep it there on the bottom and just flutter around and just try to entice some fish to come eat your bait. So
perfect. All right, and Brody's coming into the room. Now, last part about tonight, I don't know if he's going to want to talk about it. Doesn't seem like he is.
Nope.
You want to talk about it, Brody? No.
Here you go.
Brody's team, the Jaguars, won their first game.
Oh, really?
Big day. Yeah, it was a huge day on Saturday.
Very nice.
First football game.
All right, Carlos.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much, man.
Yep.
Teddy, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right, so we're going to do a commercial break. When we come back, we're going to ask the secret question tonight, and we're going to scramble around to come up with a giveaway. So stay tuned. Hopefully it's a long commercial.
Here in Florida, every name tells a story. Just saying Ian, Nicole, or Michael brings about strong memories. But then there's Adam.
How are you? Better not see you.
And Gary.
Hey.
Together, their teams helped rescue over 3,500 people. And Vicky, she used her food truck to feed the community.
Thank you so much, guys.
And Andy, he flew medical aid to devastated communities. But then there's Shane, Clyde, and Robert. Together, they have more than 60 years of storm experience. They stand with an FPL team of thousands, ready to respond. So as the next storm approaches, just know we're prepared. Here in Florida, every name tells a story, and every name is important. Because together, we can weather any storm.
Hey, everybody, we're back. All right. Tonight's question. Billy, why don't you talk about the giveaway first?
Billy.
Oh, no, here it is, right here.
Tonight, we're going to be giving away one of these super cool Bahio towels.
Yep.
I've outfitted my entire bathroom with these now. I love them. And Phillips Auto hat that's specially designed for fishing. Love these hats so much. All right, so this is tonight's giveaway. Tonight's question is, Billy, what is Captain Carlos's favorite knot? The first 6 people to answer that correctly is going to get added onto the Reel of Fortune. So I'm going to monitor that. Billy, if you want to come over here and just talk about something.
Here, I have this. Except for I forgot the 6th one. I thought it was a dolphin, but I don't think that it is.
Dolphin?
So we are getting there.
All right, Billy. So talk about the towel. Open it up. Show everybody.
I'm not going to open up somebody's winnings.
I'll take that one. You can give him another one.
I will.
Like 100 people already replied. So.
Does come with a nice.
That's whoever's paying attention. There you go.
Oh, boy.
Oh, those weren't names on those sticky notes, huh? Oh, man, it's even wrapped.
I haven't even seen that open yet.
All. Holy smokes.
Let's see that thing. Oh, it's a big
Coolest thing
towel.
about Bahio stuff, you look at it as a sunglass company, and they do some really nice apparel at the same time. And you look at that company as it's growing, and you think that, somebody's mass producing all this stuff. They hand press all of their own.
That's cool.
That's badass.
Yeah, all of their own letters, all their shirts, everything's done in-house, which is pretty darn cool.
Can I answer the question?
Right? I see why Gary outfitted the house with these.
Yeah, that's pretty nice. I like that.
Pretty sweet. Mighty big.
Man, I would just hang that up in my room.
I mean, it's darn near a flag.
Yeah, it'd be a cool like banner. Put it on the mud boat.
All right, we got our 6.
All right. Somebody's going to win this in a sweet hat.
So Brianna put we lost the board. Extreme Decals, if you're listening. We lost the board, so we're working off of a FedEx box. All right, so the correct answer was the loop knot. I cannot agree with Captain Carlos enough. First 6 people got added onto this fancy board, which for our new season, their friends over Extreme Decals is almost done with the super fancy board they're making. So we're gonna spin it. I haven't spun this thing actually, so I'm excited. Let's see what we got.
Going Papino.
Me too.
I'm gonna say dolphin. That's what Bree wrote down.
Schnook.
Snook. Dan B. Dan Bridges, congratulations. You just won a Phillips Auto Group hat and a Bahio microfiber towel. Let us know if you can come pick it up. If not, I'll ship it out to you. But preferably come pick it up.
I apologize, it is not folded properly.
Thank you all so much for watching. We will be back next Tuesday with a whole new episode of Fish Talk Live. Captain Teddy, Captain Carlos, Captain Billy, Captain Mario, and of course, beautiful Brianna. Thank you so much for this awesome show. Our sponsors, check them out. Don't forget, they support the little guys, so we should be supporting them. Yeah, hey. We'll see you next Tuesday.